Hello again. So I have already created this security group, and this one is allow the RDP using the RDP session that is here. You will launch the instance and they will use an existing key pair, right? And click on launch that instance. So let me come back to the client VPN and see whether it is active or no. So it is active for now, and if for example I check and go and then to this one and try to connect, so it's telling me that it is connected successfully, and as you can see the assigned IP address, it is the IP address that belongs to this region. So now if I open CMD and then try to ping this IP address, and the ping are work. If I try to type ifconfig, I will find that ipconfig, and they scroll up, right? As you can see that I have this IP address. If I try to go to Google now, I am not able to Google that. The reason why is that because I have not checked the split the traffic, and that's why we have not able to reach the internet. And also because in the authorization role we have not allowed this user to reach the internet, but instead we have allowed him or restricted him to reach only to the resource that are within our VPC, that is have the range or the IP4 CIDR, that is 16.10.0.0/16. As you can see here, this one is keep loading because we have no internet access. And if I come back here or go to the download and open the CMD, right? And then if I try to SSH to that instance and then use my key pair, right? It is working as we expected. So if I go to the instance and then ping from it, now I have access to internet, but as a user I am not able to access the internet. So just keep looking here, and once I will disconnect from the VPN, so the connection will interrupted with our EC2 instance. As you can see here, the connection is interrupted because I have disconnected from our VPN. So the other way is to use Active Directory or AWS Directory Service. So let me know this one is deleted, but before that I have to go to the associated and deassociated from a target network, then delete that VPN. So let me come back to my instance, right? To my Windows instance, and then connect to it. We'll download the remote desktop file, right? And then go to the password. We'll browse about our ACM manager.pim, We'll open it, we'll decrypt the password, and then we'll connect to our Windows. So first time we'll connect to our Windows as administrator, right? And once we will authenticate to that server, we will join it to our domain. But first time we will join that domain, or we'll try to join this instance to that domain, it will not know that domain. We will try now. So first thing I will do is go to server manager, right? And then go to the local server, and then I will change it and go to the domain, and I will type the domain I have set in our AWS directory service. And once I will join the Active Directory, domain controller for the domain could not be contacted. And why? Because this instance does not know anything about that domain, because I have not set that about the Route53, because this instance will try to ping about this domain. But once, let me explain you, once it will go to this private zone, there is no private zone. Let me come here. There is no private zone with that name, and our VPC is not associated with that availability, with that private zone, or our DHCP offset set is not having that domain name as well. So let me scroll down here, go to the hosted zone. So we have no domain with that name, ablali.org, right? So what we have to do now is now where the outbound endpoint come to play. So once this instance, right, will send a DNS query to the Route53, then the Route53 will look in the outbound, right, endpoint, then it will know about this domain name and which are the IP address of that DNS server, and then it will forward that request to that specific DNS server. So let me show you how that can work. So first thing I'm going to do is to create an outbound endpoint. So make sure to select the Paris region, and then configure endpoint, and then I will choose the outbound only, and then give it, for example, a name, my outbound point, and I will choose the VPC from where the traffic will flow, because my instance it is in this VPC, so I must choose this VPC, and I must choose a security group as well. I have already created one that is outbound security group, and I will show you as well what that security group do. It's just allow for the inbound traffic on the port 53. So security group, choose the outbound security group, and it allow all TCP and all UDP from this range. Just I want to give it all this TCP and UDP, and this 53, the port of the DNS is belong to that range as well. You can choose either 53 or you can open all the port, but in the production environment you have to open only specific port, not all of them. Then come back here and then scroll down, and here you choose an availability zone. And what here Route 53 is going to do is, once you specify an availability zone and the subnet, this Route 53 is going as well or network interface network interface, right? So it's going to create a network interface as well. So as you can see that the AWS managed service, you are not manage the service. You are just asking the AWS to create for you an elastic network interface within a subnet within the VPC you have created. So it creates a subnet within a VPC or within a subnet you choose once you are setting up that outbound endpoint. So it creates that for you, right? So once you send traffic from this instance to that domain abdulali.org, it will go to the AWS Route 53 resolver, right? And this instance will ask him about the awabdulali.org. Then this ENI will forward the traffic to those ENI that are created by this AWS directory service that are hosted the DNS server name. And then this instance will be able to resolve that domain name to the IP address. Then this instance will ask for the credential of the admin of this directory server so he can join that instance to that domain. I will show you that how that will happen. So I will choose private subnet, it does not matter. And here for high availability, I will choose another subnet as well. And I will scroll down and I will click on next. And the role, I will choose, for example, my role, right? And then its role is forward. So any traffic that come to this outbound endpoint, forward it to this domain, this domain, right? And the VPC, we'll choose this VPC, right? And then here the target IP address, and this target IP address is the IP address of the DNS server, and these IP addresses will find them in the directory. We'll expand or choose the directory that we have created earlier, and we'll scroll down, and here we'll find the DNS address. So we'll copy that and we'll paste it here, and it is the port 53. It is the port of the DNS server, and they will copy and paste the other IP address as well. So I will scroll down, click on next, review, and then submit. So we have to wait a little bit until those ENIs are created within our VPCs. And to make sure of that this AWS directory service create an ENI within our subnet. If, for example, if we come back here to our directory service, copy that and come back to our instance management, scroll down and go to the network interface. Then we will filter by the primary private IP address and paste that IP address here. As you can see that there is an ENI that is created for us. And as you can see, it's take the directory ID underscore controllers. This ID is the same as here. That is here, D hyphen and then end with 5042. So let me come back here. We will wait until that's finished. And let me come back now and try for more time. And this time is asking me for the admin of that Active Directory. And it does not show me an error of unknown domain name. Here I will provide it with the username that is by default when you create an AWS directory service directory. It creates for you an admin user, and this is the password that we have set once we create that AWS directory service directory, right? And then I will click on OK. And if that password work is correct, then it will tell you welcome to the domain, and I will click on OK. So I must to restart this instance, right? I will restart it. I will close and I will restart it. Or I will try to connect to it now, right? And this time I will not use the credential of the local administrator, but rather than I will use the credential of the domain name admin, and then enter the credential and hit OK. As you can see here, this is the host name and this is the domain name of our AWS directory server, and I will click on yes, and it will open me and it will show me this is the admin of this AWS directory service. Now I will create, or I will install the remote Active Directory tools that will enable me to add some user, and those users are the ones that we will use to authenticate to our AWS client VPN endpoint. So for that, let me come here again and click on Server Manager and click on Manage. You have to wait a little bit. Add role and features. Click on Next, Next, and here I will just click on Next. I will scroll down. I will choose the Group Policy Management. I will scroll down and look for Remote Server Administration Tools. I will expand that role administration tools. I will choose the Active Directory and the DNS server. I have slow connection. That is the reason why this one stuck here. So I will scroll down again. The goal of creating this lab is just to share my knowledge with people, because few of them are not knowing this and I want to share it with them. That's why I'm doing this session. And then click on next and click on install. We will wait until the installation finish, then we will manage and create new user. So the installation succeeded. I will close that, and if I go to tools now and go to Active Directory user and computers and expand this active route domain and this organization unit and go to users, I have only the admin user here. Now I will create a new user. I will call it Abdlali, give it a last name, and then login as well. Click on next, and they will provide it with password, right? Click on next and then finish. Another thing here, you have to create a group, because this one we will use it later on. So I will create it VPN group, click on OK, and then add to the group I will add the user I have already created. Check names, sorry, let me go to properties and then go to member of, then add the user. This is VPN group I have created, and then click on apply. Okay, right, and now let me do another thing here. It just close those windows, and let me come back to my directory service. I will scroll down here, right, application management. This one I will use it because I want to have the security ID or the set, but I will use it later on. Let me enable the AWS management console. We scroll down, go to the AWS power user, right, and then add, and then if I search for Abdlali, yes, this one I have created, right, but I am not caring about the user, I caring about the group, VPN group, right. I am only caring about the security identifier, so don't know, I will not add them. Right, then I will come back to my client VPN and create another client VPN, but this time I will choose client VPN Active Directory. I will give it the same IP CIDR as the previous one. This CIDR must be between 12 and 22, otherwise it will not work. We scroll down, even in the using the user-based authentication, they ask you for the server certificate, and this is the same one that we have created here earlier, and we have pushed it to the ACM here. That's one that we have it here, right. I will scroll down and choose the IP address of DNS server, choose TCP, scroll down and choose our VPC, and they will scroll down here and I will choose client VPN, so this security group, right, and they will scroll down, and in this time I will enable split channel. I will scroll down and then review the forum and fix error before continuing. Yes, this one, sorry, I have forget this one. And then here I will choose my Active Directory I have created earlier. We'll scroll down and create a VPN client. So once it's created, I will scroll down and then target network association and association target. I will choose EB, right? And then I will choose the private one, and they will associate the target network. And then for authorization role, and I will restrict that user only to access to the 10/16, and they will allow access to user in a specific group, and they will show you why. I have already that Abdulali user is already joined to this VPN that have this security identifier, right? That I have shown you here how you can have it. You go to application management tab and you enable the management. You enable that management console, right? And you have to already create this role, right? And this role, you call it whatever you want, and this and this role have this permission here, that is the power access user. So you have to create that role for the AWS directory service and assign a permission of that role, that is the power user access. Remember this one as well. So you go, we'll show you how you can do that. You go to role, you create a role, and you choose an AWS service. Scroll down and look for AWS directory or directory service, right? And then you choose this one and assign a permission here, right? And you can look for power access, right? Sorry, power and power. Scroll down, power user access. You choose this one and then click on next, and then you give it a role and name. And once you will create that role, once you will come to your directory service and go to the application management and scroll down, you will find that role here, and you click on that role, and then you find by group, and then type the name of the group that you have created here in our active directory, and then here you can find the security identifier. You copy and copy it, and then you can come here and paste it here, right? I will show you why I have done that before now, and it is in the pending state. I will create another user here, and I will call it Jed, right? Sorry, you have to check this one, and then enter a password for that user. And this user, I will not join it to this group, to show you that once you create an authorization for a specific group, then only that user within that group that are able to establish a connection or a VPN connection to your VPC. Otherwise, the VPN connection will not work. So I will download that configuration, right? And then I will upload that here. Right click and then import file, and then go to download, right? Open it, and it is downloaded, right? When you use based authentication, you are not asked to use that this one here, cert and client, because we are not using client VPN. We are not using client certificate. We are using only server certificate. So we have to wait until it become in the active state. Then we will try to connect to our VPN, and we will check that this time when we are connecting to our VPN, that will be able as well to go to the internet. And this one is achieved via checking the split channel. Now it's available now. Let me come here and then I will try to connect. You have to enter the username and then the password, right? So if that user exists and its credential work, now everything will work properly. Yes, it's saying me that wrong credentials. Yes, it's connected now. As you can see, it's assigned this IP address. And now, if I try first to go to Google, yes, it's worked this time. And then if I go to the CMD, right, and then ping that instance, I have lost its IP address, so I have to come back to instances and then go to that instance and then choose its private IP address and paste it here. And now it's work, right? But now if I try to make an SSH to it, let me come back here and then open another terminal here and make an SSH EC2 user, because I am using Windows Linux. That's why the default user is EC2 -user, and then paste the IP address and then the SSM user, the SSM key. Now the connection is established, right? And now you can keep looking to that, and if I try to disconnect from that VPN, right, the connection is interrupted as well. Now let me connect with the user I have created earlier, right? And this time it must refuse the connection because that user is not belong to that group. Right, it will be connected, right? Sorry, it will be connected, but it will be not able to ping that instance. Let me show you here. It will be not able to ping that instance. It will be able to authenticate, right? But it will be not able to ping or SSH to that instance, right? So as you can see, it does not work. But let me show you if I add that user to that group. Let me come back to here and then add this user, right? Go to properties and then member of, and then add it to VPN, right? click on check, okay, apply, okay, and then let me disconnect and then reconnect as well, again connect as well, and then I will provide it with my credential and click on OK. So it will authenticate it because I am using user-based authentication. So all the user, whether are in the VPN group or not, they will be authenticated. But only the users that are within the VPN group are authorized to do an ACM or ping and SSH to instance. So now if I come back here to instance, and if I try to ping it this time, yes, this time it's work because I have joined that user to the VPN group. So let me SSH to it now. And it worked as we expected. And once we will disconnect from the VPN, then the connection will be interrupted. That worked excellent. Now I have another thing here, and it is that I want to give a domain name for my client VPN endpoint. I do not want to use this endpoint, right? This one that we have it here. But rather than I want to use a custom domain. So for that I will copy this endpoint and go for a 53, right? And you must have a public domain, right? I have already created one, and I have created a hosted zone for it, and then now I will only create a record for this endpoint. So I will create a CNAME record or an alias, because the traffic of that record that I will create it now will forward traffic to another endpoint. It will not forward the traffic to an IP. If it is forwarding that to an IP, then I have to create a host record. So let me plug in my computer with the electricity. It is about to shut it down. Then let me scroll down here, right? I have already done that. So let me just remove that record, right? Here I will delete it, and I will create a new record, so for you to know how you can create that record. So sorry, I will create it VPN, and then here I will choose the CNAME, and they will provide it with this endpoint. And you have to provide it, to add this asterisk to this domain, and you have to add another asterisk to this domain. So first thing I will do is I will only keep this one as this one, and I will see what the error that we will face. And then what I'm going to do now is just copy this domain here, right? And then go to this configuration file, and they will edit, right? And then remove it and save it, right? And then re-upload it to our client VPN. So for that I have to import file, and then I will import it again. Yes, I will override the existing one, and this time when I will try to connect, right, and enter the credential, it will show me an error. It will refuse to connect. Why? Because cannot resolve a host address, because I have provide my record is vpn.my domain name, and then when this request go to this domain, it does not know where to forward it. So for that, I have to add an asterisk to this domain, and this asterisk, what I'm going to do is every time, let me edit it, this asterisk, every time anything that's come here, it will forward it to this endpoint. I hope that you got the idea. So this time, when I check and try to connect to it again, right, and then enter my password, so this time work. Now we are connecting again to our VPN. So as you can see here, that now I am able to forward traffic to the internet and connect to the VPN via the option of split, of this option of enable split channel. Another thing here I want to show you is that how you can, for example, use the AWS or to create an ID connector. So to create this ID connector, first thing you have to create a service account on your existing AWS directory server. And for that, we have to create a user. You have to create a user, right? And for that, I will create it AD connect, right? I will call it AD connect. Click on next, and then provide it with the password. Right? And this ID connect, right, I have to delegate it some permission. And one of the permission here is to have the right to read the user that are within this OU, that is organization unit. So here, this one we call it container, and this one we call it organization unit. So to differentiate between both of them, in the OU there is an icon in the folder, and in the container there is no icon. So I have to right click on that IU, right, and then delegate control. Click on next, and then select the user or the group that you want to delegate permission to them. So first thing, let me create another group, and this group I will call it connectors. I will click on next, right, and then I will join this user to this group. So let me connector, and then click on next, apply, and click OK. Then I will delegate control. I will click on next and add that group, right? And once I will delegate permission to the group, it will be delegated to all the users that are within that group. So I will create custom task to delegate, and then here I will choose the only following objects folder, and they will go to the user objects, because I just want to query users, and then create selected objects in folder. Click on next, and then you can provide it property and provide it with read and write. Sorry. And then click on next, and then finish. We'll scroll, come back here. Those steps I have done, are very important, so you can proceed and create that ID connector here, because it will ask you for a service account here in this step. So I will choose the same VPC, right? And this one is useful when you are dealing with an enterprise edition, an AWS Directory Service Enterprise Edition, when you have user synchronized or replicated between regions in different domain controllers. But here I just want to illustrate and show you how you can do that when you are creating an enterprise edition. So create private subnet and then private subnet. So when this subnet, I choose them, so I am telling to this directory or this Active Directory connector to create elastic network interface within this subnet. And then here I will choose the domain name, it's abdali.org, right? And then the net BIOS is the same, and this is the IP address of your directory service that you have created earlier. So let me open another tab. And here I will choose the IP address of our DNS server. So paste it here, and here as well I will paste another one. It's optional, but I will paste it as well, right? And this is the service account name, and they have call it AD connect, and then the password, right? And then I will click on next, review the changes, and create the directory. So it takes up to 5-10 minutes, then it's created. So I'll stop the video for now until it is created.